building an indie business in the center of venture capital. I am Alex Edmonds. People call me SupremeRumHam on the internet, and this is the Building an Indie Business podcast. Okay. So today I want to go over goals. My goals for 2020. We'll review those. The ones that I got or I reached. The goals I failed to do. And I'm gonna split up my goals from open podcast to revenue research, and then we're gonna talk about 2021. I'm gonna be talking about my goals for revenue research, the podcast, and my personal goals. Also goals that I considered, but I didn't think were good goals. Okay, so let's get into it. 2020. Now, I started 2020 working on open podcast pretty heavily. My first goal was to finish the forum. I did this. It was like the first thing I did in 2020. It took me about 2 weeks. So yeah. Then to start a newsletter. I started the newsletter. I used MailChimp. I did about 40 of them. I got 60 subscribers, and the reason why I stopped doing open podcasts, part of the reason is because I only had 60 subscribers after 40 email newsletters, right? So I didn't think there was growth there. Okay. On the podcast episode, I didn't mention this, but one of my goals was to make $1 online from open podcasts. That was achieved when I wrote the book and got a pre-order. Okay. I didn't like these two goals, but they were my goals that I mentioned on the podcast. To write more and to grow the community. And I don't like these two goals because they're vague. I could write, let's say in 2019 I wrote 2 articles. So if I write 3 articles, I've written more. But that doesn't mean anything, right? And then grow the community. That's not actionable or measurable, right? Same thing with write more, actually. So yeah. For revenue research, I have 2 goals for revenue research. The first being to get 10 reports, and the second being 10 email subscribers. And right now, the amount of email subscribers is about 25 after 4 reports. It's growing every week, so that's great. So yeah, 10 email subscribers is the one I reached. Okay. 2020 personal goals. During the episode, I said that I wanted to get 52 episodes. I did this. In March of 2020 because I started the podcast in 2019. And so 52 weeks later is March of 2020. Yeah. Another goal I had for the episode, or that I said in the episode, is that I wanted to get a new job. And I did this. I got a new job in March. But, no, I got it in February. At the end of February, I was supposed to start in March, but everything got delayed. And I started in May, right after Memorial Day. Unfortunately, I lost this job in July. So yeah, I'll talk about that a little more later. Another personal goal is 100 podcast episodes. In December of 2020, I reached 100 episodes. This wasn't my goal for this year, but I started doing a second podcast episode for the week, and that had me reach my goal of 100 episodes this year instead of in 2021. Okay, failures of 2020. None of these I set out to do in the podcast episode in 2019, but these are some goals I had along the way in the year. So I'm going to go over them, and I didn't reach these, right? So I didn't sell 25 books. That was my goal for What's the Deal with Podcasting. And I talked about this earlier. I wanted to sell 25 books to have a certain amount of money so that way I could write another book or figure out another way to monetize open podcasts further without having to worry about the fees for a year. And so I only sold 2 books, right? So that sucks. Thank you to the 2 people that bought the book. I appreciate it. Okay. So 2020 failure number 2. I didn't keep a job, right? That's not all my fault, but it's a failure of mine. I didn't keep a job. So I got a job and I wanted to keep it, but I wasn't able to. Yeah. Okay. And my third failure that I have for this year is I didn't fill up my IRA. Right. So my goal is always to fill up my IRA for the year. And I didn't because I lost my job and I haven't found another one. So, yeah. Again, that one's not entirely my fault, but it is one of my goals and it is a failure of mine. So, yeah. Okay. 2021 goals. Revenue research. One of my goals is 10 revenue research reports. I think I'm at number 6 at this point. So yeah, I have 4 more. I can probably reach that by March if I really pushed it. Monetize revenue research. And so I want to make money from revenue research faster than I did open podcast. It took me May of 2019, open podcast was started, and I made the first dollar in April of 2020. So that's 11 months. So I will probably end up monetizing revenue research with pre-orders if I wanted to beat that time. For the book, which I don't, at this time, I don't know what the book is really going to be right now, so I would be taking pre-orders just to beat that record. I need to grow the email list first to have more potential customers. So yeah, there's that. Okay, my next goal for 2021 is to learn to create images for revenue research. What I'm really trying to focus on in terms of the images is 2 things. Style. So I want people to immediately see like a color or a color scheme and recognize that this is revenue research. I'm thinking of using some like the green color, which I refer to as Breaking Bad green, and then some sort of style, something else like a font or the background image, something like that. And then the second thing, which I think is more important than the style, is I'm trying to figure out how to provide value in these images instead of just like a summary of the blog post for revenue research. I want to make sure it provides value. So maybe a summary plus, I don't know, something else. Or like images that summarize each point in in the report, right? So that way someone, or like on Twitter, I can add each image and that would give someone a better visual. Or I can just take every image and post that as the tweet thread. So that's my thinking. Okay. And then I want to another goal is to improve my research skills. So with every report, I have to come up with new things to research, right? And I need to learn how to find the information, like quicker, not just find the information, but quicker, right? So I need to develop, I like places where I can research. I need to know, okay, I'm researching the topic on candy, so I need to know that candy information is found on like openpodcast.com, or I'm researching the taxi industry, so I need to know that that information is found on openpodcast.net, things like that. Yeah. Okay, so another thing I want to focus on, or another goal of revenue research for me, is to learn more editing techniques and for my writing. Right now I have my system, my I put it through Grammarly, I put it through Hemingway, and I listen to it. I want to add more to that. I want to maybe learn new techniques for editing that I can do myself, that I don't need software for, and that way I can provide more value through my editing, because my writing would be more concise for my readers, right? So yeah. Okay. So my goals for the podcast. I got a taste of interviewing this year, which I didn't plan to. So that was really interesting to me. It, because I wasn't creating the content for the episode. So that was pretty nice. I just had my 10 to 15 questions, and I'd ask people those 10 to 15 questions. They were different for each episode, because I don't do that kind of podcast where I ask the same questions. Let's be clear. And so I think it'd be cool to have someone who's a little out of my network on the podcast. So maybe not like anyone in the maker log community, but maybe another maker like that I don't really conversate with, or that I'm subscribed to their email list, but I don't really talk to them, and see if I can get them on the podcast, and then write good questions to ask them on the podcast. That's the main thing, is like I want to get value out of the interview, and I need to figure out who can I reach that would be willing to come on the podcast. But even before that, I need to figure out who do I want to interview to get value from them, right? So there's that. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to have a little fun in terms of web development, and I want to improve the podcast website. So a couple of features I'm thinking about adding are search functionality for the archive, so that with a filter, so that way, let's say you look up dogs, and the 2 episodes that would come up are the dogs and web development episode, or like you're looking for information about book editing, so you would be able to type in editing and that episode shows up. I think that would be cool. And then there's a delivery system for the book that when it's on Stripe, and I have to figure out a better delivery system. Right now I'm using Zapier and Gmail, and I think there's a better delivery system for the book, so I have to come up with that. I was also thinking about adding a timer to the homepage that was a countdown to like, when the new episode comes out. I don't know if I'm going to do this one for sure, because I don't know if it provides value. I'm the king of light mode and dark mode. Like every episode, or every website I've ever built before this has had a light mode and dark mode. This is something very simple. I don't even need to wait till next year to do this. But I'm thinking about adding it. I'm not sure. I don't know if it provides value, right? The next thing I'm thinking about adding is a page to post my work in progress episodes. So like maybe the outline that I currently have, and then the like the title of the episode, something like that. I don't know if I'm gonna do this. Okay. And the last thing I want to add is I want to allow people to add reviews of each episode for the future people that are looking at the website and looking at the episodes. I don't know. I think it's something that would be cool. Okay. The next goal I have for the podcast is to organically grow the email list. And the reason why I want to do this is because I want to practice my copywriting and my sales. So I want to grow the email list to 20 subscribers. And that way, I can get an idea of how my copywriting skills are growing, right? And then the final goal I have is to put a little more effort into YouTube, add all the extra stuff that is that I have to wait for. Usually this is just a test of patience, because there's all this like elements that you can add to the video, but when I upload it like on the live stream, it doesn't give me the option to do that because the whole video has to load, and so I never do this. But I realize, like my Twitter following, it can't hurt to grow my YouTube subscriptions, so I want to put a little more effort into that one. So yeah. Personal goals. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So my first two personal goals are same as last year. Fill up the IRA, as usual. Find a job to fill up the IRA with. So those are pretty self-explanatory. My next goal is to travel somewhere by myself. I've never traveled anywhere without someone, just on my own. And so I would like to do that. Maybe go visit a friend, or, I don't know, just go to some place. I don't know. I'll update you guys on this, but I don't know. My next goal is to be a podcast guest, because I'm always podcasting alone, or I've had 3 guests on this year, but I've never been a podcast guest. I was supposed to be one, but that fell through, so I have to find out a way to be a podcast guest, right? Okay. This next one is really unique. 12 rejections. And what this really means is I have to search for opportunities to be rejected, right? So maybe that's asking someone to be a podcast guest on their podcast. So this will not be related to finding someone to be on the podcast, related to jobs or women. So, yeah, just 12 rejections, one every month. I just keep, let's say people keep giving me stuff. Let's say I do one a week. I find one opportunity to ask someone for, and they give me all 4 opportunities. That's okay. I would not mind not reaching this goal, right? So, okay. The next goal I have personally is to learn a new technology. I want to learn a new technology that improves something I do. I've thought about this a lot, right? So, this year I learned how to use Stripe. So that's a technology that I learned and that benefits me and people that I interact with. So something like that, I have to figure out how to I haven't determined what technology it is right now, but I will find out and I will tell you guys as soon as it happens. Okay. My last goal is to host an event because I wanted to host an event for the podcast book, like a webinar or something like that. And I did not get the response to the book that I was hoping for that would allow me to host an event. So I never got to. So I want to figure out something to host and host it, right? Okay. The thing with goals in general is that you don't have to reach them, but there's something that you should be thinking about. Like, I don't have to get 12 rejections. I don't have to do any of this. It's just something I want to do, and it doesn't hurt me if I do it or I don't do it, right? It only benefits me if I do it. So yeah, that's why I have so many goals this year. Okay. Goals I considered. So these are some goals that I just thought about but decided I can't do them, or it's not that I can't do that. It's just like these goals are too out of my control to have them as goals, or they're too simple to have them as goals and like feel a sense of accomplishment when I reach those goals, right? So let me go through that. My first goal that I considered was performing stand-up. And as you know, if you're listening to this podcast, I love stand-up comedy. And I even write my own jokes. I don't perform them anywhere or do anything with them. I just like writing jokes. So I had the idea to take those jokes that I write and perform stand-up somewhere. But the reason why I didn't make this a goal specifically is because right now a lot of the places that I would go to perform stand-up are closed, or at least closed for performing stand-up. So I don't know when this will open back up as of today, or today, this week, whenever you're listening to this. So I don't want to have this as a goal and not be able to achieve it because of something out of my control, right? Okay. My next goal that I considered is to get 500 Twitter followers. And the reason why I didn't make this my goal is because it's too easy to achieve. I already have 200 Twitter followers, like around 200, let's just say. And that only means I need 300. So I'm already 40% away from my goal. I'm not 40% away, or besides the revenue research reports, I'm not like involved in any of my goals right now. I'm not doing anything about them. So yeah, and to reach 300 more Twitter followers, I could probably just follow like 500 people and get those people to follow me back, right? So it's not a lot of effort, right? My next goal that I considered but didn't is to grow the revenue research email list to a certain amount of people. And the reason why I didn't do this is because, again, it's too easy. I can just, go around adding people's emails or buy the email list of another person. And I just rather have it grow organically. And that's why specifically for the open podcast email, or for the podcast email list, I just said 20, because that way I know it's growing and it's more about the copywriting, not the number. So yeah. And the final goal I considered but didn't add it to my goals is grow an SEO score to a certain number. And the reason why I didn't do this as a goal is because SEO is too unpredictable. I don't know when even if my score will just pop up to that number, or if it's possible. So I was able to grow my the revenue research website to like 15 in 2 weeks, but that was because I was just starting out. I don't know if to get to 20 it's harder. So yeah, because I don't know, I can't make it my goal and it's too out of my control. So yeah, okay. That's all I have for this episode. It's a long episode. If you're hearing me right now, thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Bye.